Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sentinel. Today, I want to discuss a very important appointment that Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, has made in the Pentagon. And this appointment is a senior military assistant to the Secretary of Defense, a very, very important position. And the person that he selected was Lieutenant General Christopher Laneve. Now, before I talk about him, I just want to remind everybody to please make sure that you hit a like, a share, and subscribe to the channel because we want to continue to grow the channel. And there's one other admin note that I'd like to discuss. All the segments that I do, I try to present a balanced viewpoint. Okay, that doesn't mean that I am MAGA. It doesn't mean that I'm woke. Okay, I'm just presenting the facts as I see them. And then it's up to the viewer to decide which way do they lean. I personally am very apolitical. I am not MAGA. I am not Vogue. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm a retired U.S. Marine. I'm apolitical, and my complete allegiance is to this document right here, the U.S. Constitution. That's what I follow, right? And I know politics is a tough subject in the U.S. Because it's very divisive, and I don't want to go there, right? So when I make a segment, I'm just trying to lay out the various viewpoints for the viewers to decide. It doesn't mean that I agree with it or disagree with it, but I have an obligation to the viewers to tell you all the various viewpoints, and you can decide whichever way you want to go. Because freedom of speech is built upon the foundation of disagreement, but it has to be civil disagreement, and it's okay for us to disagree. We're a massive country, almost over 330, 350 million people, and it's okay to have an opinion. But let's not start labeling each other and going after it just because somebody disagrees with your position or somebody is giving you multiple positions to think about. That's the whole purpose behind this Sentinel channel. I'm always going to try to give you different viewpoints. I'm not MAGA. Although I support President Trump because he's our president. And my view is very simple. If the President Trump does well, the nation's going to do well. So that's the way I view things. I try to see things through the lens of this document right here, the Constitution. That's how I look at issues. And based on that, then I decide where do I stand. So although, I appreciate the comments, but, it's okay to disagree. Nothing wrong with it. And if you want to call me Vogue, you want to call me MAGA, you want to call me whatever, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just too damn old, too crusty. I mean, look at me. I'm not going to get flustered. So please, all I ask is in the comments, try to be civil. And just because you disagree, don't try to label the other side, right? Okay. And all the comments are great. I love them. So just keep them coming. Okay. So now let's get back to this position of the senior military assistant to the Secretary of Defense. Now, this is a very, very important position because you are the senior most officer. That's the right-hand man of the SECDEF. And, you're the main point of contact for all military matters, and you're responsible to implement the decisions and provide advice on all uniform military matters. And the reason this is a powerful position is because the senior military assistant is generally with the secretary, all day long. And, he's got open door with the secretary. He's got full access. So unlike, the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staffs or the other service chiefs, they need to make an appointment or they attend meetings, right? And that's what the military assistant, the senior military assistant coordinates for the Secretary of Defense. So very, very powerful position. And the previous senior military assistant to the Secretary of Defense, to Secretary Lloyd Austin, and for a month to Pete Hegseth, was Lieutenant General Jennifer Short. She assumed her responsibilities in October of 2024, and then she was moved out in February 2025. And Lieutenant General Christopher Laneve is going to take over her position. Prior to that was Lieutenant General Ronald P. Clark. He was the R-CENT during the Kabul withdrawal, and he was also the senior military assistant to Secretary Lloyd Austin, and he served from July 2022 to October 2024. Prior to that, we had Lieutenant General Randy George. He's the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army. He served from June 2021 to July 2022, essentially for a year again for Lloyd Austin. And then, going back a couple more, we had Lieutenant General George W. Smith, and he served from September 2018 to September 2019 for Jim Mattis and Mark Esper. Now, I know Lieutenant General George Smith. We served together, a phenomenal Marine officer and an infantryman and a tough dude. I've got the utmost respect for him and somebody I admire greatly. Then going back even further, I'm just picking out some names that I'm familiar with that I can tell you a little bit about the person. Then we had Brigadier General Eric Smith, who was the senior military assistant from January 2016 to June 2017 for Ash Carter and James Mattis. So he was there for, about a little over a year. Then we have his predecessor was Lieutenant General John F. Kelly. Now you all know, General Kelly. General Kelly was a combatant commander in Southcom, and then became, secretary, a cabinet secretary for President Trump, and then took over as chief of staff. And things went awry after that. He's definitely not on President Trump's Christmas card list. I guarantee you that. So the point being is a very, very powerful position. Everybody that takes this position moves up to, some great things later on in their careers once they become a 4-star general. Now let's talk about Lieutenant General Laneve. So he graduated from the University of Arizona in 1989 and was commissioned in the infantry in 1990. Was assigned to your typical junior officer billets in the infantry. Attended schools along the way, and he's a pretty sharp dude. He's got an incredible amount of command time. Commanded an infantry battalion. He's commanded an infantry regiment. He's commanded a brigade, and he's commanded an infantry division. And then obviously with his command with the 8th Army in Korea. So the guy's commanded all the way through. And that's exactly the type of people we want in the Pentagon that are focused on warfighting, and they know how to command and lead troops rather than these consummate staff officers. And they're wonderful people. They're great staff officers. But we need warfighters in the key positions, because what's going to happen is they're going to bring warfighters up. So it's very important. And I applaud this decision by Secretary Hegseth. So I think when Secretary Hegseth went to this Indo-Pac tour, he probably linked up with him and was probably impressed by him. And they may have crossed paths somewhere in the past. And he's a really strong pick. And I'll tell you why I'm so damn impressed by him is because by his leadership philosophy, right? His leadership philosophy is very simple and something that we all talk about, but generally we don't do it. And he talks about, never ask your troops to do what you wouldn't do. Now, that's very simple stuff, but not many people do that. And I'll tell you why they don't do it, for a variety of reasons. They forget the simplicity of leadership. And if you do these simple things, leadership is really easy. And he was known to jump with his paratroopers when he was the division commander. So that's the type of leadership we're looking for. We want generals that lead from the front. Generals like Brigadier General Teddy Roosevelt, that landed with the first assault wave on Omaha Beach in Normandy on D-Day. Imagine that, a 1-star general on D-Day lands with the assault wave. And then General Norman Cota, he landed with the second assault wave on D-Day. And when he landed, all the Rangers were pinned down, and from the 5th Ranger Battalion. So he basically told them, we can die on the beaches or we can die inland. Rangers lead the way, and they all charged behind him, and that's how they broke through the German defenses in Normandy. So that's the type of leadership that we want in our military. I think Lieutenant General Christopher Laneve is exactly the type of person we want. And here's another saying that he's got, and I mean, it just motivated the hell out of me. I was ready to go back down to the Marine recruiter and re-enlist. And what he said is, guns and leaders should get up front. Lead from the front. It's not just being there, it's knowing your people and letting them know you care about them. Then everything else is pretty easy. Now, I'm telling you, I mean, this is fantastic. And he's going to complement, Pete Hegseth really well. He's going to bring that warrior spirit to that office. And he's going to make sure that the Secretary of Defense's policies are implemented. because he's the guy that does it, right? Secretary comes out with guidance and decisions, and it's the senior military assistant's job to track all the various issues that the secretary is dealing with. And what a strong pick, and sends the right message, because a lot of the previous that I didn't really name senior military secretaries were great joint staff officers, right? And we don't want more staff officer. We want leaders. We want troop leaders. So a lot of these people got into that position because they're great staff officers, and they just kept getting promoted because they had visibility from these senior officers, from 3 and 4 stars, and they kept promoting them up. And consequently, we are where we are now. We got some great staff officers, but we got crappy senior leadership, in my opinion. And by getting people like him to the front, it shows that, hey, if you want to become a 4-star, get back in the trenches and lead troops and lead from the front. There's nothing like it. But before I go, I just want to remind you to please hit a like, hit a share, and please subscribe. I appreciate it. And remember to leave some comments. I love the discourse. We all bring something to the table, and we need to share it with each other. That's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Khan out.